Yo, Grand Rising, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and welcome to Deconstructing Christianity with Coach Renz. Yes, we are starting a few minutes late because dinner ran late. But thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this later on, then you probably want to wait till about 5 minutes in before you, or skip into 5 minutes. That's when we normally get started. Right now, we just give 5 minutes for people to be able to join in before we get started with tonight's lessons. And tonight, we're talking about the fact of, was Jesus a false prophet? Um, Very interesting conversation that I expect that we will have. Um, Tonight's show is going to be about an hour long tonight. I got plans with the wife, so you're only going to get about an hour. What's up, Tim? Yes, it's Tuesday. The schedule for going live is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead and like up the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and all those sorts of things. But yes, Tim, it's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube. So everybody doesn't see everybody's comments, but the comments that I respond to, I would gladly put them on there. Now you good. Gotta get my Angelina hand rolled cigar right. She is doing a fantastic job of rolling cigars, my wife. So uh, when you come on here, let me know who you are, where you at. If I'm finding you if this is your first time on here, if you've been here before, you can still let me know. But just I like to know where we're reaching, where people are. Again, just like last night, I hope everybody's warm. We actually had freezing rain and snow here in San Antonio last night, and I was pissed about it. And it actually just stopped some freezing rain here about 45 minutes ago. So this is not why I moved to San Antonio. Yep, Angelina rolled this cigar. That is her one of her new hobbies right now is rolling cigars. And to which actually I think we have to order some more leaves because she's running out. But we are, yeah, did not move to San Antonio for this weather. Did not. So yes, we are already contemplating another move because this is bullshit. This is I can't. I do not like the cold at all. We Yeah, Ohio. All right. Welcome, Mike from Ohio. I did not move to San Antonio for the cold. I moved here because it's not supposed to get below 50 degrees at night. And so this is some utter bull that it is. It was what, 22 last night? Mm-mm. Nope. But I hope everybody is staying warm. Wherever you are, stay warm, stay warm, stay warm. Tim is stupid. Tim said he can't even roll a joint. Rolling cigars is not easy. It usually takes people years to really learn how to roll. But she's been doing a fantastic job in these few months, this time frame that she's been rolling. Ooh, oh, -20. What's you guys' weather? Is everybody experiencing this -24s and all that? One of my brothers, he lives in Dallas, Texas, but he went down to Miami when he saw what the weather was going to be, and so he left. And I was like, man, that's some bullshit that he left me here. Yes, Ybor City got good cigars. Am I going through Tampa? I might go through Tampa sometime later this year. Grand Rising Stephanie, how you doing, voiceovers? I am starting a new channel. It's called Voiceovers by Lorenzo Reed. As already, the channel is there. No voiceovers have been done. No storytelling. I'm going to start out by reading some stories and myths and poems and things of that nature. Uh, that channel, we'll start getting up videos here in the next few days. So, Stephanie, I'm doing it. Mm. 1 degree where you are. That is, oh, no. Not as bad as the -24 in Canada. Yes. And we used to live in North Carolina a few months back. It's cold. There's no way I would be there either. Well, Michael's going to get us started in our conversation today when he's already saying that because the topic of today is, was Jesus a false prophet? He was the God of prophets and the prophet. Um, and we're going to talk about that. So, what is the Bible? What does the Bible say about prophets? What it says about false prophets? And I'm going to be a little off tonight because I'm going to use my phone a lot. According to the Bible, how can you tell what a false prophet is? No, I wanted that to go. Because I can't remember exactly everywhere in the Bible that it talks about it, but I do know that the points. I know the points. So when we talk about a prophet is someone who's supposed to be able to have this understanding of God, know God. God is speaking through them, and 11 degrees in New York. God is speaking through them, and because God is supposedly speaking through these people, their predictions should be correct. What they state should be correct. Now, but a person who speaks a prophecy, and I can't remember if it's in Isaiah or Ezekiel, where it talks about a person who speaks a prophecy and then the prophecy does not come true, is a false prophet. And according to Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22, it says that a person who is a false prophet should be put to death, right? So if a 18:20 and 22, if a prophet presumes to speak in my name a word that I have not commanded him to speak, or speak in the name of other gods, that prophet shall be put to death. It's what the book that they believe in says. Can we all agree on that? That a prophet is someone who speaks the commands of this God, and if they do not fulfill it, if the prophecy doesn't come true, then they are then a false prophet. Now, an interesting thing when I was, when you go to churches and you have people say that, oh, God told me this, God told me that, these are supposed to be people prophesizing what this God is saying. And oftentimes I've had many people come to me and say, well, God told me that you should X, Y, and Z, or God told me this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And 99% of the time, whatever they have said never came true. So that made them a false prophet, right? There was a young lady that I knew. She picked up her family, moved all the way from Georgia to California because she said God told her to go to California. She was going to become an actress. Never happened. She went to California, begged her. She got like to Texas, ran out of money, begged her way all the way, out in front of the Walmart, begged her way all the way to California, was in California. Things didn't work out for her. She did not become an actress. She wound up having to get another truck and come back home. So According to these stories, a prophet is sent by God, and their prophecies are supposed to come true. So what prophecy did Jesus give? Um, that would make him a prophet or false prophet? So Jesus told everybody, according to the story, that this generation will not die before he returns. That there are those who live amongst you today who will not taste death before the second coming of the Messiah. He said that his return will be soon. Now, when you read the letters of Paul, it is very clear that Paul believed that this Jesus was coming back soon, that he would come back before his generation dies. Now, if you look at, or if you have been in a church, you know that the dispensations and all this, we're under grace and all these things, they changed the idea of what a generation is and made a generation be all people who have lived since the time of Jesus. But in the first century, a practicing Jew, which Jesus was, when he said generation, it meant a 40-year time frame, sometimes a 20-year, but most of the time a 40-year time frame. So according to the Jesus talk, according to what the Gospels say, I don't know what your name, I can't read that name, so I don't know what to call you, but it is accepted that Jesus said this because it is in the Bible. We here do not believe Jesus actually existed and that the Bible is just a literary creation. But according to this, it is saying that this Jesus is saying that he will return before this generation passes on. And Paul was telling people that you shouldn't get married unless you can't maintain your chastity. Then go ahead and get married. But because husbands are worried about wives and wives are worried about husbands. And so do not get married. Do not get married. Right? So Paul, a top Pharisee, Paul, an educated man, Paul, who claimed that he saw a vision of Jesus on the road to Damascus, did not accept the idea that we have today, that Christians have today, that Jesus was going to come back in a known time frame, that this was going to be stretched out for 2,000 years. He believed that within that generation of people who were living at that time frame, Jesus would come back. So my question is, did Jesus come back? Has anybody seen Jesus? We've heard a multitude of people like Ellen G. White claim that Jesus was going to return in her time frame. We've seen Christians throughout these last 2,000 years claiming Jesus is going to come back in this lifetime, in their lifetime. You go to churches and you always hear, Jesus is coming soon. Jesus could come tomorrow. He can come tomorrow. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. But Jesus has never come back. Jesus came back. Explain. Explain. Just making arbitrary statements. But we can see that Jesus has never come back. The statements, and here's the thing about it. When Paul believed that Jesus would come back, the book of Revelations had not been written yet. So since the book of Revelations had not been written yet, Paul would not have been thinking about, oh, these horsemen have to come. Oh, the plagues of Egypt have to come. All the waters of the world are going to turn to blood. That the Antichrist has to come. That the one world government has to come. The one world believing in a false God has to come. Paul would not have known or thought any of those things because Revelations hadn't been written yet. So as far as from Paul's perspective, in around 50, 60 CE, Paul would have been thinking that Jesus is going to return before he dies. And all of those requirements of Revelation were not part of his thinking. But Jesus didn't come back. Paul died. Yes, Jesus said that he was going to return quickly. He did not. You say a prophet, for instance, prophesied somebody to win the 2020 Senate election, but he really did win. If it's a prophecy, then no one can steal it. No one can stop it. Because if Jesus is afraid that people will kill him, that's why he won't come back. That's obscene. If he's supposed to come back with all the power and glory of being God. So how can man kill him if he's supposed to come back as God? That makes no sense. One day, 1,000 years. I knew someone was going to say this one. That because in Peter it says that, First Peter it says that one day unto God is as 1,000 years to man, is not a literal thing. What the meaning there is, God is supposedly outside of the time frame and workings of man. But your problem is that when these things were written, anytime it talks about a day, it uses the term yom, a 24-hour day. So the 7 days of creation were 24 hours. So that excuse doesn't work. Plus, he said, I will return before this generation dies. Get past that point. I'll give you this one, Eric. The problem is that Jesus himself was lost, very lost. And yes, if Jesus existed, he was a false prophet. And he was a apocalyptic preacher. It was doom and gloom. Everything was going to fall apart. Is anybody else having problems with the internet? With my internet? Or is it just yours, Tim? Now, all your other comments weren't worth a hill of beans because quoting some scripture or beliefs don't mean anything here to us. So what explicit timing did Jesus give that he will return? Because according to some of your other gospels, he said that no man knows the hour, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son of Man knows the hour of his return. So how does the Bible, what's this timing that you speak of, sir? Most Christians don't understand this thought process, that the Bible doesn't speak in univocality. It's spoken through the cultures and time of every time frame that it's written and edited. You're not answering the question, sir. When is this specific time? If he gave you a code, a time, when is it? You should be able to tell us the exact time frame, the exact date. Right. And the Jesus character said the time is now, not 2,000 years later. Not 2,000 years later. It was now. The kingdom of God is at hand. Okay, and that's good. Good, 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 good. So y'all typing quick on me. No, the fact that Jesus, see how you do realize that you're contradicting yourself. You earlier stated in a comment that the Bible, Jesus gave a time frame that he would return. Now you're saying that his return is unknown and should motivate people to live their life for his imminent return. That's the same rhetoric that we've heard for 2,000 years. That's the same rhetoric we've heard by pastors and believers of this book. Right. People believe that Jesus has healing powers, but he hasn't been able to heal anybody. A wheelchair pope, a man that's been killed, shot, a child that's been abused, somebody who's been amputated arms and legs, people with cancers haven't healed anybody. Nope. You can't say that he will come back after the Antichrist mischief. See, that's Revelations. When Paul was writing, which Paul wrote before Revelations was ever written, Paul was saying that Jesus was coming back before he died, before Paul died. And Jesus, according to the gospel, he said that I will return before this generation dies. So we Revelations actually is a contradiction to the gospels. And yes, leaving it unknown is a great way to keep this thing going. It's a get out clause. I'm not reading your comments to understand. Actually, I do fully understand, but you're not listening to understand anything that I'm saying. I want you to think about it. You said, my guy, that there was a time frame. He gave clues as far as the time frame. Then you said the time frame is unknown, but you still haven't said anything concerning the fact that he said he would die before this generation dies, that there are those among you who will not taste death. You have to handle that before you can jump to Revelations, because that was said of Jesus prior to Revelations ever been written. That by the time frame Revelation is written, that generation was dead. You ever think about that? The Gospels say this generation will not die. There are those who won't taste death. By the time Revelation is written, that generation is dead. You got to make that make sense. And the only way to make it make sense is to understand it is a contradiction to the Gospels. And then it is also oh shit, the Gospels are wrong. So let's write some other stuff so that people won't recognize it. It's kind of like how the Seventh-day Adventists did with Ellen G. White's prophecies. She prophesied that Jesus would return before she died. Everybody in the 7th SDA was believing that. Once she died and he hadn't returned, they had to have a reorganization of her prophecy, and they changed the doctrine of their religion. See? Proof that he ain't listening to a damn thing. Proof that he ain't listening to a damn thing that I said. So I will move on. Michael, you were entertaining for but a mere moment. Now, you say that the New Testament was changed from its original mostly by Paul. I will submit that Paul must have known something about what people were believing as far as this Jesus, and then Paul wrote some things that were different from what people were walking around saying. The problem that you have, though, is that there was no canonical Bible at that time frame of Paul. So therefore, Paul would not have been changing anything. He changed doctrines. He had a different doctrine, but there were many what would become Christian doctrines that was going on at that time frame. So Paul was just expressing his version, but Paul would not have had the Gospels and Revelations and all these other writings. He would have just had what other people said and what he was thinking. This is one of the prophecies that Jesus didn't fulfill. I only read the first part, that he was supposed to come and sit on a physical throne, that he would, the throne of David, and he never did. He never established a rule, a Israelite rule on the planet. That never happened. So, and it's still not going to happen. So when was the last time you saw demons exorcised from someone's innocent soul? Never. This man said, I just gotta put this up, y'all. Wait, I missed it. Wait, not what he said. Jesus never died, his body wasn't in the tomb. If Jesus never died, then there can be no resurrection. If there is no resurrection, then these Christians, it just invalidates their religion even more so. Yep, I'm waiting on this Jesus to pop up myself, but I know the reality is that this Jesus is never going to pop up. And this is the whole point of this first of him being a false prophet. He told them the time is now, right? And that they need to be like the brides, keeping their little candles lit, ready. It is yet to come. Doing pretty good, Fremont. How you doing? But the facts remain, and this is just a fact of the Bible, that the Bible tells you what a false prophet is, and Jesus fits the category of a false prophet because he didn't come back, and he has yet to come back, and he's never coming back. A literary character cannot come back into reality because he is just that, a literary character. There is absolutely zero proof of this Jesus, the biblical version of a Jesus. You can say that there were multiple Yeshua characters who were claiming that they were the Messiah, but none of them fit the Bible Jesus. So therefore, the Bible Jesus has no evidence of him. That's the one downstairs. It's because my wife is down there building a fire in the fireplace. And she probably didn't open the flute. But believing that Jesus is going to come back is like believing that Othello is going to come back, or Romeo and Juliet are going to come back. Literary characters will not come back. Which, okay. I was about to go downstairs and do my man thing, but I think she not handled it. Ooh, wait a minute. I saw a comment. I wanted to say something about it, but it went away too quickly. Let me see if I can find it again. But yes, you're supposed to. Tony G said it. That the Bible says you're supposed to test the spirit, and test the prophet. How do you do that? I have no idea. The way that you test the spirit is that if it bears the fruit of God, then that's supposed to be someone who is in the spirit of God. If you're testing a prophet, then you basically test whether or not their prophecies come true. If their prophecies do not come true, then they are declared a false prophet. And we see Jesus is a false prophet because he didn't come back before Paul's generation died. Do I think that the elites do so-called events to make you think that the Bible is coming true? No. I think the elites do things to keep people divided and in fear so that they can make more money and maintain control over people. Y'all doing some typing fast here because this shit is moving fast. See, this is why I can't take some of y'all serious. Jesus is coming back, and when he does, he wants you to give 10% of your earnings so he can update his fashion sense. I got you. I'm with you on that one. Yes, ma'am. Which one is that? Is that the one up here or the one downstairs? It can't be the one downstairs. I took that one out. Ma'am? In the window. Really? But it's not plugged up to power. Okay. How the smoke detector go off and it's not even plugged up to power? That's just crazy. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that. You know, y'all are important, but my wife is more important than all of y'all. So let me see what I missed here. Dang it, I was trying to click on it because it's funny. Stop. You said demons. Trauma said demons. Stephanie said I got a haunted house. But as far as the elite people, it wouldn't matter if they were doing things or not, because if this was a true prophecy, it would just happen without their control. They wouldn't have anything to do with it or stop it. It's like someone had posted earlier saying that a prophet, a pastor, or somebody had prophesied about somebody winning an election, but then they stole the election from them. If your prophecy is true, it wouldn't matter if somebody wouldn't be able to steal it. You would go on and win that election. So if you are truly a prophet, then your prophecy has to come true. Nothing on earth could stop it. No person would be able to stop it. You know what? I didn't think about that. There may be batteries in that. You know what? There are batteries in that dang on smoke detector. So that if the power is out, the smoke detector still works. Appreciate that. Now I'm gonna take the batteries out of that one because that one is really sensitive. I got one in this room and it doesn't beep. Right. Appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, so like how many of you have had people claim that they are prophesizing in your life or prophesizing something to you? Not the speaking a word into your life, the whole prophecy thing. I had people prophesizing that I was going to be this great pastor, when I was coming up in Marietta, not when I was coming up, but when I was an adult, when I was a young adult in Marietta in my early 30s, around 27, well, between 27 and 30, 31, 35, something like that. They were saying I was going to be this great pastor, that I was going to bring a bunch of people to Jesus, and, uh, you know, I would amass this following and lead people to Jesus. That didn't happen, nor will it happen. So all those people who was prophesizing this, and this was multiple people, multiple pastors, some of the most recognizable pastors in that community were saying these things. It's not going to happen. I have absolutely zero intentions of ever moving back to Marietta, Georgia. So we know just for that reason alone, it's not going to happen. Hell, as a matter of fact, my wife and I were discussing the fact that we moved here to San Antonio when our original thought process was to move to Puerto Rico. We should have went ahead and moved to Puerto Rico instead of moving here because it's cold. So do not be surprised if this time next year I'm in Puerto Rico instead of here because it's cold. And after Puerto Rico, we'll probably move over somewhere, Europe, Middle East, Africa. It won't be in Marietta, Georgia. So that prophecy will fall, it has fallen on his face and will continue to fall on his face. I'm gonna need y'all to come up with something better. I do not have church hurt, okay? That little excuse there, if anything that hurts me is the fact that people want to say that I have church hurt. I do not have any church hurt. I grew up with a loving family. I grew up with most of the church people I got along with. I do not have church hurt. I walked away from Christianity because I studied the Bible. If anything, I was trying to validate the Bible in my early years, but I do not have church hurt. Can y'all come up with something different? Nobody in the church molested me. Nobody in the church stole from me. Nobody in the church abused me physically or mentally. I have no church hurt. God said, Libya is 25 degrees Celsius this time of year. What is that, like 70 something degrees, 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit? See, they always bring up church hurt because they need some reason to justify why somebody will walk away from this religion after you've been in it for the first 35, 36 years of your life, because they need that to comfort themselves. They have a hard time believing that someone could just study and walk away from this book, that someone can critically think and walk away from this book. It is the recognition of things of this matter. Now, it took a lot more than this, but this was a big point of walking away from Christianity. My ancestors were forced into this religion by blood. So why would I follow a religion that forces people by blood, by killing people? No. Right. And this is most of us. You grew up in the church, and at a young age, things just didn't seem right. And Christians have a hard time accepting that. But here's the thing. I don't care if they accept it or not. I could care less. I just wish that they would come up with a better argument, because none of them can ever argue the point. For the ones who are on here right now who are stating, who are believers in this book, not one of them has said anything in relation to the contradiction of Jesus saying that he was going to return before this generation dies. And he didn't. All they try to do is offer other parts of the script of the Bible that contradicts that statement that was made. Like, fact of the matter is, I could go back to Marietta or Alpharetta and Roswell and where else did I go to church? In Lithonia. And the people there, knowing how I think, knowing what I know, knowing that I do this podcast, and they would embrace me, they would love on me, and we would have a conversation. We would share a meal together. We may discuss the finer points of this religion, and we will walk away with just as much love. And I'm not thinking that I should have followed them, and they're not thinking that they should have followed me. We will part ways because they know me as a person, and they love me as a person. I engage with my family quite often. They love me as a person. So I do not have church hurt. Now, that's not true for a lot of people, though. A lot of people get ostracized, and that hurts more than anything else. Is the hurt of learning when you learn the truth about this religion, learn the truth about this Bible, and when you decide to walk away from it, the hurt happens when the people demonize you from walking away from it. So you have already walked away from it before there was any hurtful emotional things from the church. And my man here said he walked away from the Catholic Church when he saw the hypocrisy that was built into the church. No church hurt, no priest in the back door, just from watching it. And oftentimes that is one of the things that initiate people from walking away from this church, is the fact that they start to realize that this church is full of hypocrites. Their ideas, their doctrines are hypocritical. The doctrines don't match. It proves within itself that it's false. It's loaded with contradictions. It has false prophecies like the Jesus returning before that generation dies. And then you critically think through all of that and you walk away from it. Why would you believe in a Jesus if he is a false prophet? I mean, you have to consider that for a moment. You would rather stay in a religion dumbfounded because you want to believe in this person was the Son of God, and is God in a Trinity that wasn't really established until 325, much later after he supposedly lived. And you walk away from that because you realize how jacked up it really is. You can't help yourself. Yeah, you might have saw some people doing some messed up things, but that just inspired you to study more. That just inspired you to read it and get deeper and dig into it. And the more you dig into it, the more you leave. So I was born into a Christian family, a very large family at that. And I started studying the Bible deeply at age 9. And then I walked away from it somewhere around the age 36, 37 years old. Well, between 35 and 37 is when I walked away from it. But it just makes no sense to believe, if you're supposed to walk away from false prophets, and in the Old Testament, you're supposed to kill false prophets. If you realize that Jesus is a false prophet, then why would you still worship that false prophet? Why would you still look at that false prophet as anything that they're saying is true? Because when we do study it, we find exactly what Dre is saying, that the God's morals and is all about killing and not love, and it's all about hate. I mean, he literally says that he hates Esau. Literally tells people to go and kill everybody, but take the young girls as your wives. To genocide people who are cousins, Canaanites, other Canaanites. Go and kill all the Perizzites and Jebusites and all of them. Utterly kill all of them. And let's add some animal torturing to it as well and kill all their animals. But the gold and silver, save that for me. I kind of need some of that gold and silver. Yeah. What does a God need with gold and silver? Yeah. Oh, Saul, you didn't do what I told you to do. I'm going to kill you and I'm going to take all your concubines and I'm going to give those concubines to David. Your wives, I'm going to take your wives and I'm going to give your wives to David. Oh, and David, when you cheat with Bathsheba and then you try to cover it up and you have her husband murdered, I'm not going to punish you. I'm going to punish the baby. I'm going to kill the baby. When you were in captivity, yeah, the people are wishing that I would take the babies from the Babylonians and bash the Babylonian babies' heads against rocks. That's the God of this Bible. Mm-hmm. That's the God of this Bible. So this Bible is filled with fictitious characters. There are more fictitious characters in this Bible than there are people who might have existed. There are certainly a complete, all the miracles and fantasy things that happen in this Bible are all fictitious. None of them have ever happened. Right. This guy was going to kill Moses because his sons weren't circumcised. But not only for that, he also told Moses he couldn't go into the promised land because Moses took credit for giving water to the Israelites, and he didn't do it the way this guy told him. I told you to speak to the rock, but he hit the rock with a staff. I'm going to kill you. This guy is narcissistic. This God is incredibly narcissistic and acts like more like a child than an adult, and acts more human than he acts like what a infinite good God would act like. Yeah. It was all human shit going on. It was all human shit. And if you go with ancient aliens or pre-existing civilizations that were more technologically advanced, they had human-like qualities as well. I didn't mean to hit that. But yeah, Jesus is not perfect. The Bible is not perfect. This God is not perfect. You know, any guy that rewards you for cutting penis heads off, if God didn't want you to have skin on your penis, then shouldn't he have just made you that way? Right? If Unless he knew he was making an imperfect creature that was going to go through all the bullshit that it went through, that mankind went through, unless he knew all of that stuff was going to happen and still made people anyway, why would he make you with foreskin so that you then have to be circumcised? Why would he make you that way? If he was trying to make a perfect world and he didn't want Adam to have foreskin, Adam should not have had foreskin. But if we're made in the image of God, and if God has a physical form, then he got some foreskin. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. And if Jesus was supposed to be perfect, then why did Jesus have to have his foreskin removed? If Jesus was made perfect, then why did in the Luke version of the story, they had to take him to the temple so they can go through the process of paying the 2 doves or the money for his birth, because his birth was supposed to be a sinful thing that happened. So they had to give the 2 doves or 25 pieces of silver and have his foreskin removed. Right. And why would you put the tree right in the middle of the garden? This was an imperfect God because if according to the story, he's an imperfect God because he started with an imperfect plan. He meant for all the bullshit to happen. And then he admits that he made a mistake. He said he regretted making man. Why would you, if you knowingly know you're going to regret something, why would you go ahead and do it? That's a human thing. That's what humans do. That's a human quality. Y'all be ruthless sometimes. I'm not even gonna repeat that. I'm just gonna let y'all read it. Just gonna let y'all read that one. But the storyline of this God being perfect makes no sense because he demonstrates that he is very imperfect. There would never, if there was this God was real, there would never have been a need for a flood. There would never have been a war in heaven. There would never have been a tree of knowledge of good and evil, place where the people can get their hands on it. Women wouldn't have to be saved through the pain of childbirth. He would have known that we would have, at some point, invent things to keep childbirth from being painful. There are so many things that this God got wrong. If the children of Israel were so disobedient, he would have never picked them as his chosen children, knowing that they were going to go in and out of captivity over and over again and blame it on them not acting right towards this God. Right. And if someone has regret, they don't know the future. Right. God doesn't make mistakes except every time he does so. He does. Now, that would be part of the Sumerian story where Eden, the Garden of Eden in Chaldea, was more of a laboratory, that Enlil, Enki, and Harsag and Anu were pretty much making people and made 16 versions of them until they got the right one. But that's a Sumerian story. I don't accept the Sumerian story either as being a true story. Now, unless some civilization come back and they got some proof and say, yes, this is what we did. We made you jokers. We needed some slaves. You do not have to be taught that man is sinful. You just have to read the Bible and what he says. Look at what this God says before the flood. Every thought of man is evil from his youth. After the flood, he says, I will not destroy the earth again because every thought of man from his youth is sinful. So according to this book in Genesis, and I think that's like starting Genesis 6, the first time he said it, and somewhere like Genesis 9 or something when he says it again, this God is, and I might be too far along for that one, but he says it that man is sinful, that from every thought from his youth is evil. So you actually don't have to be taught that. You can simply read this book and see that that is the mindset of this God, that he believes that everything from man is evil. So now you are taught, well, most people who grew up Christian in America, you are taught that for a while in the 70s and 80s, it was the popular teaching was that you're born sinful. Then in around the 90s, they start teaching that you're born into a sinful world. That part is just doctrine. But what this God actually says in his book is that every thought from man is evil from youth. Right. So to me, the only thing that is sinful is you not being your full self. You doing things that go against who you are. As long as you're not hurting someone else, you should live your life as you choose to live your life. But when you live a life according to what someone else is dictating that how you should live your life, you are sinning against yourself. And when you sin against yourself, that's the sin. That's the blasphemy. Is doing opposite of who you are in order to please other people. If if being who you are harms other people, you need to get some control over that. You need to work on that. If being who you are harms the community, you need to work on that. That's not a good thing. But as long as you're not harming anybody, live your life. Be the best version of yourself you possibly can be. Anything short of that would be a sin unto yourself. But as far as a sin to some God, there is no sin to this Yahweh God, because this Yahweh God simply doesn't exist as a being that has some level of control over who you are, where you are, what you do, how you do things, who you love, who you don't love, who you fight, who you don't fight. Has nothing to do with that. Whether you are wealthy or poor has nothing to do with that. Whether you have a great relationship, nothing to do with that. Whether you treat your children well has nothing to do with that. Those are things that are of you. If you are treating children badly, that's your problem. You the problem. And man is imperfect. Now, all religions do teach that man is imperfect, and man is imperfect. We are, you know, we all do things that we know we should not have done or we should not do. Yeah, I'm encouraged that more of us that are 50 and older are deconstructing. I used to feel like the only person in town. I am legend. The only one left. And most Christians couldn't understand this, Casey. Yeah, sometimes I post people stuff and I only read the first line. The great burden that you feel lifted when you walk away from this church uh, is so freeing. The stresses of it go away. And a Christian wouldn't be able to understand that, because a Christian is believing that they don't have the stress in their life because how good God is. But they are always trying to please this God, knowing that they're going to fall short of pleasing this God, and therefore condemn themselves over and over again, and then try to have some level of forgiveness over and over again. It's like being in a bad relationship where all you do is argue, that that you can live your life, you're doing good, you say something one day or do something one day, well, every day, you say something or do something that turns into some type of argument, and then you got to go and talk about it, and then you got to fix it, and you got to apologize, and then you got to try not to do it again, and you just keep going through this same cycle. That no matter what you do, no matter how you decide to live your life, that you just can't. You can't be you. And even if you're not causing any harm, you just can't be you. And then you just have to keep fighting with this person and fighting with this person. That's how Christians are living their lives. They're fighting with a God that can never be happy with whoever they are. And why would you, when they talk, and they always talking about being in relationship with this God, they are in an abusive relationship. The relationship is completely abusive and completely one-sided. I remember you once said that you are sinless. According to the Christian description of sin, yeah, I am very, very much sinless. And according to how I live my life right now, I am very sinless. I do not do things that I do not want to do. I do not do things that make other people feel better. So no, I don't. So that people feel comfortable within themselves. If what I do now, don't get me wrong, if I do something, have I done things, or can I do something to make a person feel bad? Sure. Does it happen? No. Uh, no. Now, that's not me saying that I'm perfect. Being sinless doesn't make you perfect. I'm still not perfect. I can try to explain something to my wife. You know, I can try to explain something to my wife, but not explain it correctly, and she has a different, not the understanding that I want, and then she is hurt by it. But then that's when you have a conversation and try to communicate more properly so that she does understand it, so that there is no hurt. But that is not a sin, because it just didn't come across, the conversation or the action didn't come across in a way that my trueness was understood. So no, I am not lying about being sinless. There is absolutely nothing in the Bible, and you didn't hear what I said. I don't want to mess up your name. I'm gonna say Kasi. I think I'm saying that quite right. Tuana. I think is the N is silent, I believe, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. As far as what the Bible says is a sin, I am sinless because the Bible doesn't apply to me. You understand? I don't believe in your God. So me not believing in your God, you would say I'm sinful, but I'm not, because I don't care about your God. I don't keep the Sabbath because I don't believe in your God. You would say I'm sinning, but I don't, because I don't believe in your God. So I'm not sinning. I don't practice none of your religious beliefs. So I'm not sinning against anything that's in your book. I'm not sacrificing animals for your God. I'm not believing in a human sacrifice that gives me some level of forgiveness. So tell me, how am I sinning in your Bible if I don't believe in your Bible? Trying to catch up with what some of you guys are writing. See, this is where you're messing up. With or without the Bible, we do wrong and we sin against other people. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't steal from people. I don't murder people. I don't talk about people behind their back. I don't tell lies I don't tell lies, period. If you ask me something, I'm gonna just tell you the truth. It may hurt your feelings, but that's not me sinning. Uh, you may want me to go somewhere or do something or be your friend or something like that, and I may say no. That's not me sinning. Where is the sin? Point out a sin that I commit as a human. This is a great, great, great thing to be. I might have to join you in this religion. See, hear that fool? Lying is a sin. I speak no lies, sir. He probably would say smoking. I'm doing something that I love doing, and I'm not harming nobody. And you're gonna get cancer from eating that damn meat. Right. Christians, Jews, a whole bunch of other people, Muslims, they've owned people. I ain't never owned nobody. Ooh, Amsterdam. Now Ray is probably sinning like a big dog in Amsterdam, because that red light district. Okay, I'm about to ignore you if you cannot produce the lie. Produce the lie. You sound like these people that, oh, I can't really say anything about what he's saying. I can't combat it. So let me just repeat the same bullshit over and over again. Right, Dwayne. Most indigenous people never heard of the word sin. They couldn't even interpret the word. In some indigenous communities, that word doesn't even exist. Right, so I would say keeping the Sabbath, and which is Saturday and not Sunday, but all these Christians worship on a Sunday anyway because Constantine told you so. And see, Patsy Cline, one of my favorite country singers of all time. That would only apply to me if I believed in the Bible. You see, I don't believe that every thought that you have is applicable to who you are. You're going to have thoughts. You can't help but have thoughts. It's uncontrollable. It's like having instincts. It's like fight or flight. You can't control that to a certain degree. To a certain degree, you will never be able to control your thoughts. And to live in with a belief that to even think something makes you sinful, I think is ridiculous. It's one of those things that made me say that you're fighting an uphill battle, pushing a boulder with on snow and ice with slippers on. You're never going to ever be anything good. Because if I see a good looking woman, do I look at her and like, damn, she got a nice body? Sure. If somebody does something against me, do I want to, think I should slap the fuck out of them? But I don't. Christians, Bible believers will say where you are sinning because you have that thought. And if you have the thought of hatred in your mind and your heart, then you committed murder. If you lust after a woman, then you committed adultery and so on and so forth. But I don't see those things as sinful. It's your actions. It's your words and your actions. Because you will have thoughts that you will never act on. Oh yeah, I forgot. Jesus had it. He had his disciples stealing donkeys. And what'd you say up here? He made a whip and chased bankers out, beating up people. Jesus was a thug nation. He was hanging out on Crenshaw. That what he was doing? Hanging out on 1980s Crenshaw, not Crenshaw today, 1980s Crenshaw. Exactly, Texas Goddess. We are not our thoughts. If those thoughts aren't emotionalized and verbalized into action, they are just thoughts. And just because you have a thought doesn't mean that you have done something heinous. I see beautiful women every day. It doesn't mean I'm going out here messing with them. Because of a job that I had in the Marine Corps, and I was probably this way. I was this way before the Marine Corps, actually. I can think through some criminal activity of how to get away or commit some criminal activity, but I don't do them. It's an interesting thought. That's one of the reasons why I love the Ocean 11 movies, because of the criminal mastermind, just the intricacies of doing those things. I find those things fascinating, but I don't steal. And let me put this up here so y'all know where Patsy Cline stands on this, because that is exactly how Christians see everything. It doesn't matter where you get your appetite as long as you eat at home. Yes, if you made a commitment to someone, then that's where you eat. That's where you eat. That's where you eat. I'm telling you, the bank heist movies are great. We just watched the Italian Job again just to watch it. But that's where you eat. And if you're polygamous, that's where you eat. If you're polyamorous, that's where you eat. If you're a swinger, that's where you eat. If you're single, you eat wherever you want to eat. However you want to do it. This looks interesting. Now you haven't traveled far enough spiritually to say thoughts. How did God create the world? How did he come into existence? All right, so I do follow the Hermetic principles, and your thoughts is how things, in order for anything to manifest, it starts with the thought. But the thought alone cannot create anything. The thought has to become a physical vibration, meaning you have to physically act. Even your words, depending upon what we're talking about, your words do not become materialized or manifested into reality. I can sit here and say that I'm going to win the lottery. Okay, I said it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, if I go play and then my numbers come up and I win, then it's been manifested into physical reality. But just having the thought of, man, the Powerball is $300 million. I would like to win that. It doesn't manifest yet. There has to be vibration. There has to be polarity. There has to be gender. There has to be correspondence. All these things have to be in play in order for manifestation to happen. So even if I believe that a God created this universe, just by thought alone is not enough for this God to create. The action has to take place. Then whatever the action that is needed on the pole has to happen at the vibrational level in order for it to manifest. So thoughts alone are not enough. Therefore, thoughts cannot make you sinful, nor can they make you good. It is the vibration to which you frequency yourself towards, act towards, that manifests in reality, and therefore that becomes reality. That's the real thing. And I saw the first part of what you were writing, Christopher, and I agree. They think that I believe in this book, and I clearly do not and have not. And the whole channel is named Deconstructing Christianity. So I don't even know where they get this idea from. Oh, y'all typing real fast. If Adam brought sin into the world and Jesus came to fix Adam's mistakes, then why didn't Jesus ever mention this? And also, why are we still born in sin? What's the fix? Fix is to realize that this is all just a fabrication and a religion that was created by people who was trying to have a history for themselves, and then a secondary group of people who were creating a religion to shut down the Jewish revolts in the Roman Empire. And so this fictitious character was created in order to calm the people down and stop looking for a physical Messiah who would dethrone the Roman emperor. But in our time frame now, if this Jesus did believe that he had came to fix the problem of Adam, which would be fixing his own problem since they have a Trinitarian belief system, then their fix is that he was a human sacrifice to himself in order to fix the situation. But the true fix is not to believe any of this book and then find harmony within yourself, find peace within yourself, elevate your consciousness so that you act on a plane of a higher mental plateau than your basic physical plateau. it would be the idea of overcoming your instincts, overcoming the uh, your what's just good for you, and realizing that at a higher plane of thought, you have a deep level of consideration for everything and everyone around you, and you respect everything and everyone around you. As in how some of the early first religions were based on nature and the respect of nature, it is that same respect that you must have of all things and everything around you. When you can bring your mind to that, things like race and nationalities and genders and all those things start to fade away. You don't have those as your barometers of how to live and how to think and how to act and how to speak. You start to just recognize the unity of all things in the universe and how all these things in the universe conspire together to function as properly as they possibly can. Jesus is not the fix. Oh, okay, let's see where y'all at. But yes, critical thinking has been something that the school system have gotten rid of to a certain degree and continue to try to get rid of, because the more you critically think through this Bible, the more you walk away from it, realizing just how false it is. Yes, and the book has stupid shit like this. Wait a minute, wait, I saw something. I could. Whoa, I saw something. Oh yeah, Casey wrote it. That this book has something where it says the son pays for the sins of the father. How idiotic is that? It is idiotic that I got to pay for a sin that my father committed. I had nothing to do with it. Just as Canaan had nothing to do with what his father Ham did. And I don't think Ham did anything wrong. Noah was the one who got passed out drunk in his tent and got butt ass naked. You know, it seems more like he was on some shrooms than he was drinking some wine. And exactly. If I was God and I knew that one day my people wouldn't believe in me, I would never have created them. If I knew that, I mean, it's like being a parent. Why would you purposely create a child if you know you're not going to, that your children are never going to believe that you are their father, and that your children are going to constantly disrespect you? They're going to constantly go away from you. You know, every time something bad goes on in their life, they're going to blame. They're going to sit up there and be like, "Oh, my father doesn't love me anymore. That's why these bad things are happening to me." No, you just lived in an area that was one of the most conquered and fought over areas in that region. True. No, I haven't heard of these people. No, I haven't heard of them. I'll have to look that up. The Panar people in the 70s. And this is so correct. The Bible tells people that they are supposed to question the teachers, question the prophets. You're supposed to have questions about these things. That all and online get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You can't get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding without questioning stuff. Now, the thing of the Bible is supposed to be where when you question these things, the Bible should give you the sufficient answer for them, but it doesn't. From Noah's flood to Jesus to Revelations back to Genesis, it doesn't give you if sufficient answers that are truthful. So then it should be discarded. Exactly. So if my daddy was a pothead, I should get punished. But you know you should get punished if your father was a pothead. You should have been telling him to pass that joint to the right hand side. Or in this case, like the song say, on the left hand side. But I prefer Jesus, you know, he sat on the right side of God. But I smoke cigars, so I don't puff puff pass. And even when I smoked the ganja, I didn't puff puff pass. I thought it was quite nasty to take a cigar from us, take the ganja from one man and put it in my mouth. It made no sense to me, boy. I thought it was a disgusting thing. I know that Clyde and David were my friends, but I was never going to smoke something that they just took out their mouth. I don't care if it's just the lips were part of it. And it disgusts me when I'm in a cigar lounge and people are passing a cigar from one to another. Most of the time, this is happening with people who don't know anything about smoking cigars. And me thinks that they're crazy. I even had a guy once say, "Let me get a puff of that." I looked at him like he was crazy, and I told him that's not proper cigar etiquette, my boy. We don't do that. Sorry. Sorry. I'm putting my lips where another man putting his lips on a cigar? Hell no. All that spit and shit. Even on weed. I know they don't smoke weed the same way, but no. Jesus passed it with his left hand, with his right hand under the boy's thigh. Never understood that in the Bible. Who was that? Was that who did that? Was that Jacob? Who had, or Isaac who had his son put their hand up under his thigh? It was one of them jokers. If my daddy ever told me to put my hands under his thigh, we would have had some words. Like I would have been questioned, like, hey, what's going on here? My grandfather would have slapped fire at somebody if they were talking about trying to put their hand under his thigh, and you ain't a woman. Mm. John know what I'm talking about. People sharing cigars. The only person who can put their lips on a cigar that I smoke is the woman. If you're a woman that I would kiss, then you can. If you are not a woman I would kiss, you cannot. We are not doing that. Mm-mm. I'm not. See, John, he'll pass the blunt. When I was 14 and I used to smoke weed when I was 14, I would have three for me, three for David, three for Claude. Y'all smoke y'all's, I'll smoke mine. But what we're not gonna do is share. But yes, Patsy, the more critically thinking you are, the more you question the Bible. And the more you question it, the more you're going to decide to walk away from it, unless you're so emotionally entrapped by it, enraptured by it, then you'll fight against it to stay in it. And I did that from like age 20 to 35, is I was still so emotionally enraptured by it that it was hard to let go. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like if I'm smoking a cigar and it's real good, I might be, Angelina, hey, try this out, you know. Or if it's a woman that I would, let's say, it was a woman that I would kiss and say I'm single, and it's a woman I kiss, you want to try this, girl? I want to try this cigar out. Oh, tastes good to you. Come here, let me see how it tastes off your lips. Yeah, let me see if your lips change the flavor profile of that cigar, because you might make it better. once I kiss your lips with that cigar on it. You can get a hug, Tim. You can get a hug. I don't mind. But y'all stupid. I just want to let y'all know y'all got problems. But some people can't let go of their religious ties because they have to believe they'll see their loved ones in heaven, and that's another one of those strongholds that this religion has on people is that my grandmother is in heaven. I want to see her one day. But one of the things that I realize is that because we cannot prove heaven exists or does not exist, that the power of the mind, in my perspective, the power of the mind creates and generates whatever it is you believe that's going to happen. I may manifest the visage of my grandmother, my grandfather, and other people. Does that mean that that is actually them? No. But because my mind is powerful enough, I can create and manifest my own ideas of them. I manifested my grandfather in my dreams a couple of nights ago. We was having a conversation. Matter of fact, the other day I manifested not last night. It was the last night or the night before? No, not last night. The night before, I manifested with my own mind my pappy, and he's been gone for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, since 2014. So 10 years, a little over 10 years. I manifested him in my mind. Was that him? No. That was based on my memories of him, my knowledge of him. I manifested him in my mind. And here's the thing, I can only manifest him in my mind at the ages by which I knew him. I cannot manifest him in my mind at a younger age because I did not know him as a younger age. So that is one of the things that let me know that that is my own mental manifestations in my dreams, not him. Because I know my pappy well enough that if he was manifesting himself, he would be a young man, fit, able to go farm. He would not manifest himself as an 80-something-year-old man. I manifest Regina King in my dream. There's some people. And you can manifest some folks in your mind. All right, Patsy, we can smoke now. Oh, you used to smoke cigars. Got more of a rush off cigar than weed or alcohol. Yeah, you get you a Maduro or a Oscuro, and it could be a bunch of different brands to have. That's the leaf. A leaf is called a Oscuro. There's a leaf called a Maduro and a Oscuro. Those are very strong leaves. The Oscuro leaves are incredibly strong. Maduro leaves are strong, but not as strong as an Oscuro. You get some HVA inside the filler or the binder with an Oscuro or Maduro leaf. Whoo, that thing is. I gave a weed smoker a LFD that was it was Maduro and Nicaraguan leaves inside. He was lit. Ah. And how can you meet a spirit in the sky after death? And you know, that whole writing about them meeting Jesus in the sky was just a cultural thing of how when a prominent person would come to your town, it was customary to go out for the leaders of that town to go out and meet them and then escort them back into town so that nobody would think that they were coming aggressively. And so when they wrote that about meeting him in the sky, that's what they meant. But of course, doctrines today have changed that to like you're literally going to meet him in the sky. Once the guy who started the whole rapture stuff in the 18th century, 17th, 18th, 18th, 19th, 18th century, once he started that whole rapture stuff, he changed the idea of that. And that's what people, and it's mostly only Protestants. If you go to more Catholic places, they don't believe that at all. How do you know? Y'all Dre is stupid. I'm manifesting all the ladies in this chat. Meatball God. May the sauce be with me. Oh, I like that one. May the sauce be with me. Somebody said in a comment when I did that stupid thing about the spaghetti monster, the flying spaghetti monster, they said that he boiled for our sins. I gotta steal that one, that he boiled for our sins. Can you get into cigars if you're broke? To a certain degree, yes. Can you buy one cigar? Yes, you can. You can go to a cigar place and buy one. Half cigar, no. There are many. There are smaller cigars. You, there are some cigars that are $2 and $3. The quality is not going to be great, but there are some $2 or $3 cigars. But this is not a cheap habit. I can agree with you. Earth, Earth seems like a bad experiment. I wouldn't be surprised to find out one day that Earth is a penal colony for people who were in on some other advanced planet, and they shifted their consciousness into human bodies as punishment because of the heinous things they did in their community, and that Earth is a penal colony because of the way we act, because the way human societies have been. I wouldn't be surprised. Thank you for the pre-congratulations, Henry, because yes, San Antonio broke the contract. San Antonio was only supposed to get no lower than the 50s, and it was 22 degrees last night. The heat ran all night long. My electric bill next month is going to be very high. They broke the contract. We're getting the hell out of here. A good cigar can be pricey, but you can actually find cigars that are $12, $14 that are just as good, if not better, of some of these $20, $30 cigars. Dwayne, understand. I done smoked a cigar with a couple people on here, Dwayne and John. If you're ever in San Antonio, let me know. You only got about a year to let me know, because I doubt we plan on being here for 2 years, but this cold weather's changing my mind. Yeah, I literally think that within the next 50 years, somebody will come up with something that allows us to transfer our consciousness from one body to another body. And I'm hoping that they figure that out within the next 50 years, because I plan to live to be 150. That way I can transfer my consciousness into a brand new body that does not have any military aches and pains in it. Did y'all hear that? I don't know if y'all heard that, but I know this is what created that comment, that scream that I just heard. Did y'all hear that scream? I don't know if y'all heard that scream, but that's what created the scream that y'all might have heard in the background. Because that scream was an emphatic hell no. You heard it? Okay, so Zombie said he heard it. Yeah, that was that scream from. Y'all think I don't like the cold? That woman, whew. So, the house is haunted again. Wait, Puerto Rico, seriously? Yes, your highest bill comes in January. Coach, Texas gets into the 20s, maybe 10 degrees a year. Dallas normally 2. Yeah, but San Antonio ain't supposed to do all this. And so there ain't no way in hell this is gonna be it. We were talking about buying a ranch and all this other kind of stuff. Like the goal was like be here in 2 to 3 years from now. find 10 plus acres of land, build a ranch and all this kind of stuff, have retreats at the ranch. Hell no. Mm-mm. It's not going to happen. Ew, ew, ew. They were passing a cigar around. Ew. But no, can't stay here. Sorry, Texas goddess. Y'all gonna have to come to Puerto Rico. Probably by this time next year. Y'all gonna have to just come to Puerto Rico. We were contemplating earlier today having an event this summer, sometime this summer here, since we didn't get to do one before we left North Carolina. But y'all gonna have to come to Puerto Rico. Ain't nobody staying here. I don't mind a high food bill, but I can't do a high electric bill just because it's hot. I mean, it's cold. How you gonna get over the wall? You do know that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, right? You do know you can just get on a plane and fly to Puerto Rico. You don't need a passport to go to Puerto Rico. It's a U.S. territory with a great VA hospital. We did live in Georgia. We moved from Georgia in February of last year, and stayed in North Carolina until October, and then we came here in San Antonio. You know, the Bible characters will be more believable. Wait, that ain't the comment that I wanted. Shit, it's moving too fast. Where did the comment go that I wanted? It was right by dark side. The Bible characters are aliens. The Bible characters would be more believable if they were aliens. And I mean like from space. I like Dr. Tyson, but I've never heard this before. I have to go look it up so I can hear the whole thing about it. Hmm. I used to be. I used to be a vegetarian. I used to be. And then about 4 years ago, I met this woman who can cook extremely well, and she messed it all up for me. But I used to be a vegetarian, and I just recently told her I'm going to go back to being a vegetarian. I felt better physically as a vegetarian, so I'm going back to being a vegetarian. Christianity does seem like something out of Lovecraft, but you know, to me, Yahweh is a figmentation of somebody's imagination. I know, Sean, and the way Angelina cooks it, oh, it's going to be hard. I'll have to watch her eat her stuff and the meats, and I will just have to eat my vegetables. Get my big vegetable tray, go to the market, get me some vegetables again, fruits and vegetables, and leafy greens. But yes, I will be going back to the vegetarian thing. Yep, I am lucky, Maria. That woman, when she met me, my stomach was flat. I had a little 4 pack going on when Angelina met me. It was a nice little 4 pack, you know. And then it turned into a little baby keg. I'm on the way back though. I'm on the way back. Especially my own self-image. I cannot be in Puerto Rico and not be beach worthy for myself. Not for everybody else, just for myself. You know, I don't want to be one of those guys that have to stand on the beach with a t-shirt on. I I do eat some of the plant-based meats. I think I only eat the ones from Beyond, whichever one that doesn't have soy. I don't eat soy. Soy is not good for the body, male or female, but especially not for men. So, fellas, if you're eating soy, it is going to decrease, it's going to increase your estrogen and decrease your testosterone. And that's not good. And you know why it's not good. So, leave the soy alone. Look here, Christopher. I can get it. I can get my beach body because I am me. And also because I used to be a personal trainer, a master trainer, to be correct, and a master nutritionist. I can get my beach body back. Do I have, it's all about the willpower to do so. But it's mostly willpower and lifestyle. And it doesn't take as much to get there. The problem with most people, when by the time they're 50, their lives have become so sedentary that they don't have the activity they used to have when they was younger. So you just have to increase your activities, watch, be mindful of what you eat and how much you eat. Calories in minus calories out equals your weight, but it also equals your health and it equals all these other things. But then, of course, you have to be able to build muscle mass, and muscle mass can actually be built as long as you can keep um, your testosterone levels up, even though your testosterone level will seemingly drop every year after you pass like 47 or something like that. So you just have to eat foods that are superfoods to help keep your testosterone levels up so you can build more muscle. Building muscle also keeps your testosterone levels up so you can build more muscle. And the more muscle you have, the more calories you'll burn and the better your body will be. You have better blood flow and all these other little things that just come into play. Thank you, Christopher. I've been putting in some work. Not as much work as I should, but I've been putting in some work. I appreciate that. Have you been to PR? Yep, sure have. Yep, 1% exemption on property, nice beaches. I've been there, and we are planning to take a couple of trips this year to go down there and kind of figure out what part that we want to live in. Personally, I want to live in and around Ponce, or on the outskirts of San Juan. I fasted. Fasting is not for me. Fasting doesn't help me. It doesn't work out the same way. Um, Fasting. Eating fruits and vegetables every 2 hours, that works for me. There is a level of, you have to figure out what works for you. There's the general ideas of everything that should work for almost everybody. Then there, to get to the finer points, you have to figure out what your finer points are. Maria Tim is asking for you to drop a link. I thought you did that last night, but do it again. Don't make me cuss you out, because I will. Yeah, and I'll just have to get my proteins from leafy greens and beans and other legumes and things of that nature in order to have that. And then of course there's the amount of water that you drink. I used to have my clients drink half their body weight in ounces of water. because if you don't have enough water in your cells, then you won't be able to pull in all the amino acids and proteins and all these other nutrients that you need in order for your body to build muscle. You got us ready for. I thought my feet were getting hot. I was feeling some heat on my feet. Is that why I'm feeling the heat on my feet? Got our one-way ticket to hell. According to Christians, that's where I'm going. Where do gorillas get protein? From leafy greens. Actually, green and dark fruits, but not dark fruits. Green leafy greens and darker vegetables have enough protein in it for your human body. You don't have to eat meat to get all your protein. I try to get people to come on here and be guests, but no one has responded yet. Pawn says very nice. Do you know how to salsa dance? I have the basics. I used to be able to salsa dance decently, but I have the basics. And I like dancing with them grandmas. Them grandmas, we know how they know how they be doing it, and they within my range. uh, do I drink? I drink coffee. No, I a little bit. I don't mainly with cigars. Just sit there and have a drink. I don't do that. Mainly with cigars. Avocados are disgusting, but they are good for you. But they're disgusting. Very. The texture, the texture of avocados are. Ugh. Yeah, good debates are difficult to arrange. Most people that I've sent information out to ask them to come onto the show, they don't want to. So I'm going to send out some stuff for people who are of like mind as well, just to interview them. But yes, I eat kale, broccoli, spinach, beans. You can get just as much all the protein you need just from those. And I don't do the protein shakes and all that sort of thing. No, guacamole is disgusting for me. I don't like red wines. Pineapples are amazing. Fellas, you should eat pineapple anyway. I don't like anybody's guacamole. Everybody's guacamole is nasty. So you had a customer praying, cussing, and repenting at the same time. How in the hell do you do that? Oh, that one's out. Throw that away. Uh-oh. I've heard this. I have to research it because I did hear that a while back where they're saying that kale and broccoli. I didn't know kale, but I heard that broccoli was man-made, and that's disturbing if it is. Then I'm gonna have to cut broccoli out. The yellow corn is man-made, so you can get you some truly mace. You can get some true mace. Gentlemen, yes, you should eat watermelon all the way down to the white meat. Eat the watermelon, especially the white meat. Eat the watermelon. It increases your blood flow tremendously. Yes, you will go to the bathroom quite often. It will also help to clean out your kidneys and other parts of your system. But eat you some watermelon, my guys, especially if you are over the age of 47. I was going to say 50, but nah, just you should kick it in around 47. But it's going to depend on who you are and your body and how you. But for most men, yeah, you want to eat that watermelon. If you want to remain relevant in the bedroom, eat the watermelon. And yes, to be clear, watermelon with seeds. If it doesn't have any seeds in it, you don't need to eat it. Right. I thought kale was organic. I didn't think that it was man-made. I think you have to look at fruits in America are more man-made than fruits outside of America. We have so much GMO crap in this country. Even the seeds, even things that have seeds, the seed itself was GMO. Yep. Get you some maca root. But that watermelon, yes, kale, broccoli, sprouts, all the same plant selective breeding expressed in different parts of the plant, and it's not they're not man-made. We just did select. Okay, I'm with you. I hope y'all read that. So I did a video on my relationship channel, which is Lorenzo Reed 369. Lorenzo Reed 369 on my relationship channel and on YouTube. And I told that men need to, people, period, we need to normalize that because people aren't going to eat right. People aren't going to do what's necessary. And then you're going to get to a point in your life. I don't know if it happens in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, what 80s, where it's just not going to work as well as it used to. And instead of you coming into the room with 80%, normalize. I don't like taking pills. I don't like taking any processed pills like that. But if you have to, you have to. Don't be embarrassed about it. You know, I, for one, would never be embarrassed to take a blue pill or the honey or what else. Them gas station things seem like they got a lot of chemicals in them. One dude was telling me that they got a lot of chemicals in those. So I would be leery of them gas station pills. But, and we had this discussion in the Cigar Lounge and it was a great conversation, just a bunch of men. But I wouldn't be embarrassed. I'd be like, baby, you want that 90% tonight or you want that 100%? Oh, you want that 100%? Give me about 25 minutes. I would not be embarrassed at whatever's, if it wouldn't bother me at all. It wouldn't bother me at all. And I wouldn't be embarrassed. I don't think people should be embarrassed about that. And nobody should be. That's like a woman being embarrassed because some women experience vaginal dryness as they get older. If you got to do something for that, shit, do it. You know, we now, well, it's an hour 54. We usually only stay on subject for about 30, 45 minutes anyway. Where is the creator? If there is a creator, no one would know. No one would be able to identify it. You wouldn't be able to put it in a book. You wouldn't be able to describe it. If there is a creator, the creator would be unknowable and undefinable. And you cool with 70%? If she cool, it don't matter. It don't matter. You know, Leon, I just ignored the comment that you're responding to. I don't pay attention to something. These people don't have anything to offer, so I just ignore them. I had to put this up here. I've seen those things before. Do they really work? They look dangerous to me. Right. You are the creator of your own life, your own reality. We are all living in our own reality, and you are the creator of such reality. My reality after I leave from here in a few minutes, y'all will be going off doing living in your own reality. I'll be downstairs watching a movie with my wife, living in our own reality. We all exist in our own reality. All day today, I was in my reality. Right now, all of our realities are combined. Oh, I missed it. I missed it. And this is an interesting thought process. Even if the creator revealed itself, how would you really know it was a creator? No, we weren't there. It could be lying for us for all we know. Any sufficient civilization, what is the saying? Any sufficient civilization that is, any civilization that is sufficiently higher enough in technology can present itself to be God. So if some super intelligent alien race came and said that we created man and they have the intelligent, the technology that is high enough to demonstrate how they can produce man, we would believe that that's how we came into existence. You know, so and they could be straight up lying, straight just lying through their teeth. Watch how, you know, looked at our communication, see what the mind share is in the world, and then figure it out that that's the pathway to tell us where we came from. And if they provide sufficient evidence, people would believe it. Now, people like me will be like, you say it, I see what you're able to do. That doesn't necessarily mean that you did that however many hundreds of thousands, million years ago. Do you think that one day we'll be on another planet than Earth? Yes and no. I hope that we don't destroy the planet before we develop the technology to do so. But if we don't destroy ourselves and the planet, then there is the great possibility that sometime in the future that we will be able to go and live on other planets. Is there an Earth-like planet around Alpha Centauri? Is that what I think that's the planet? They say there's an Earth-like planet. I know Avatar said so, but um, I forgot what star they say that there may be an Earth-like planet around it. We don't have the technology to get there now. Do I think we will at some point in time, 1,000 years from now, 5,000 years from now, hell, 100 years from now? It's possible. I would love to be here to see it. But will we destroy ourselves beforehand, or will the Earth? We don't even have to destroy ourselves. Will the Earth decide that it doesn't want this virus called mankind on it at some point? Yeah, any technology that is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. The only thing is that our level of technical knowledge and scientific knowledge now, we would recognize it as tech. We should recognize it as technology and not magic. Like if some beings were able to, what is the thing they have on Star Trek? What's that thing called on Star Trek? Replicator. If they had replicator technology where they can break this cup down into its basic atomic structure and rearrange the atomic structure to be an apple, we wouldn't think it was magic. We would understand it being technology. We wouldn't be able to live on Venus. Venus is too close to this because of the size of the sun and its proximity to the sun. Venus wouldn't work. Mars could, because at some point Mars will be in a similar habitable zone that Earth is in now. It may take millions of years before it gets there, but it will be in a similar habitable zone as Earth. So Mars will be more viable than Venus, but it's a long way off. Now we may be able to colonize Mars without it being in the habitable zone by creating structures that allow us to live there, and that would be great. I would go. No, there are other planets. We've observed other planets around stars. Oh, thank you. It's Angelina's. Okay, so we've hit the 2 hour mark, and you guys are great as always. And like I said, I have a movie date downstairs by the fireplace. So we're going to call it a night, and I will see you guys tomorrow where we will continue on our journey of what's wrong with the Bible, Joshua 5 and 6. Yeah, Joshua 5 and 6 tomorrow. So read up on Joshua 5 and 6, because that will be the topic of discussion as we go through what's wrong with the Bible in Joshua 5 and 6 tomorrow. I hope that there are wormholes that we can go to other dimensions and meet other beings in existence. But so tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had to put this one up there. Dre said the YouTube audience seems smarter. The Facebook have jokes. So we will have our conversation tomorrow. Of course, we'll talk about the subject matter for about an hour, and then we will go into our crazy conversation thereafter, as y'all so like to do. I enjoyed myself. I'll get bored talking about the same thing over and over again, so it'd be great. So that mug said, "Come on." It does. It says Georgia. I've seen things say, "Come on." Anyway, so tomorrow it is. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration. And share, like, subscribe. And I want to thank everybody who supports the channel. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great one. See you tomorrow. Time for my movie date.